What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching my videos and leaving comments for me to respond to today. So I'm going to go through some comments I have, respond to those. If you want to ask me a question about anything, then email me. My email is going to be in the description below. And if I see your comments, I'll make another one of these videos later on. So I have a video about installing wire nuts. Whether or not you need to pre-twist your wires, and if it's a code violation to just put a wire nut on without pre-twisting your wires. Justin says, what about Wago or lock block? Wago, he's referring to this little device here. He's suggesting that you use this instead of a wire nut. What about these instead of the wire nut that my video is about? If you see, these have ports in them. You could fit 4 wires in here, and there's a piece of conductor in here that connects them. Whereas with the wire nut, you're actually putting wires in there, and there's a metallic spring looking thing inside the wire nut, and as you twist the wire nut, it helps to make that connection. If you pre-twist your wires, then you're making that connection with your wires before you ever even put the wire nut on. And if you hadn't seen that video, go check it out. But what about the Wago or lock block? I like Wagos. I like wire nuts too. I don't use Wagos for everything. Some guys aren't. I've seen guys who will take these and install them in place of a wire nut every single time. I typically only use them. I really only use them if I'm in a pinch or in lights and stuff like that. But in my switches and receptacles and stuff, I don't use them that often. Someone, J Dream T, said, I have a million Moretti's. I'll trade for a bag of Wagos. I don't know what Moretti's are. I had to look them up, and I guess they're just wire nuts. So I guess he's saying, I have a million Moretti's. I'll trade for a bag of wire nuts. A bag of Wagos. Whatever. I mean, it's preference. Which do you guys prefer? Do you use wire nuts or do you use Wagos? Huh? I know people who use these on everything. George Curtis, he says, he's a homeowner doing basic electrical work, not knowing anything long ago. Sounds like he's learning as he goes. I put 2 wires next to each other and twisted on the wing nut. When done, I pulled on each I pulled on each wire and one came off. Yep, slipped out while putting on the wing nut. No marks on the wires, but it at first felt tight. I checked another connection, and the wires were twisted, and the wires all had marks from the wing nut on them. So ever since, I twist the wires together and use a wing nut. No issues since. So he's basically saying he did not pre-twist his wires, and he thought they were nice and tight under the wire nut. And when he pulled the wire nut off, one popped out and shocked him. So ever since then, he's pre-twisted his wires, because if you pre-twist your wires under the wire nut, you can pull the wire nut off and they'll stay nice and tight against one another, and they're not going to fray out. Some of these solid number 12s and 10s and stuff like that, depending on how they're bent at the base before they go into the wire nut, when you go to pull that wire nut off, if somebody didn't pre-twist the wires, it may just kind of spring. It may bounce out of that wire nut when you go to pull it back. It's kind of like got some tension on it, and it'll hit you in the finger. And you shouldn't be working on anything hot anyways, but yeah, this happened. It happened to me, and it's apparently happened to my guy, George Curtis here. All right, same video. Marvin Ostman. He said neither of those connections meet code, talking about the one that I showed in the video, or not pre-twisting the wires. There's supposed to be evidence of twisting of the wire outside the wire nut. After you've twisted the wires and put the wire nut on, and then have to take it apart, now you're dealing with work-stressed metal. You only get so many bends in the wire before it breaks. Yeah, he's saying that you're supposed to be able to see that the wires are twisted together outside of the wire nut. That's not true. It's not a code. That's not a code rule. I responded to him 2 weeks ago and asked him to provide the code article, and he's yet to do so. I'm sure he's still looking for it. It's not in there. A lot of these guys learn code from just what they're told and haven't actually, looked in a code book before. If you guys want to donate, never mind. I'm going to cut this part out of the video. Hey. Hey.
Hey. So. Are you going to class?
Yeah, I'm going to go to class.
Oh,
yeah. Just hadn't went yet.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of in the middle of a video here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I did not know. Alright, love you.
Alright, love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, on to the next question. Dana says, also straight or angle cut stranded versus solid. 20 years and I'm still not sure of the correct method. Okay, straight or angle cut stranded versus solid. So he's saying when you cut your wire, should you cut it straight off at the tip or should you cut it at an angle? And then, should you use stranded or solid wire? I'm still not sure. I think he's asking two questions there. I cut mine straight across. I don't know what you guys think, but I cut mine straight across. I do twist my joints together. And stranded versus solid, it just depends what the purpose is, what size cable you're pulling, stuff like that. Once you get to a certain size cable, it's going to be stranded. Usually, from sizes 8 and up are going to be stranded. You can find solid wire, number 8 and 6 and stuff like that, but everything else you're probably going to have to special order. So it just depends on the application. He said, Dana also left another comment. He said, kill power before work is done. I agree. Don't work on anything hot. Why work on live circuits? He left another comment. Why work on live circuits? Once again, I agree. But the video that he's commenting on, I was working on a live circuit because I was lazy, basically. And that's not a good reason, and you're risking your life when you're working on energized stuff. You're not really supposed to. But basically, I was on I was on the second or third floor of the courthouse in Crestview, Florida, and the electrical rooms were locked, and only like one person on the job had a key to the rooms. And instead of running around up and down these flights of stairs and looking all across this job site for this person and getting the key from him every time I needed to turn something on or off, I just decided to take a risk, and I actually shocked myself a couple of times doing that. Alright, another video, ceiling fan video. It is actually my most viewed video at the moment, which is pretty surprising, but I guess some of these do-it-yourselfers want some advice on ceiling fans. Adam Freeman says, very helpful, thank you. Getting ready to install a ceiling fan now at our apartment complex where I do maintenance. So we got a maintenance guy, and he's got to put a ceiling fan up, and he found my video helpful. He said, I swear YouTube is like the home improvement books my parents had over 20 years ago. All the information without our phones now. So awesome. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. Comment, Jamal Brown. He says, is going to the military worth it? Going to the military, if you don't know my story, I did 4 years in the Army. I did one tour to Afghanistan, and now I've been using my GI Bill. It's about up, and I actually used it to go to trade school. Yeah, military's worth it. Everyone joins the military for different reasons, and oftentimes you don't know what to expect when you get in there, and if you join at a young age, you may be really, really shocked at the change of lifestyle and, getting sent somewhere. But I joined when I was 18, right out of high school. That was my goal. Coming out of school, I wanted to be in the Army. I joined. I had a couple people I looked up to that served, and I wanted to, follow in their footsteps, kind of. And I went, and the military provided me with a lot of discipline that I needed and structure, um, and forced me into having responsibilities that I didn't really have to concern myself with when I was living, close to family who could help take care of me. It's worth it though. Everyone serves for different reasons, so you got to make that decision for yourself. If you have questions about what to expect when you get in, then leave those for me in the comments or email me.